had never had a credit card or anything like that. So, had no credit score. So I thought, and I went to dealership after dealership after dealership and applied for credit to buy a motorcycle and was denied every time without a cosigner. And I couldn't get a cosigner because I told my mom I wanted a motorcycle and she stopped talking to me. And I ended up having a large amount of hard pulls on my credit trying to get this. And so it put me behind in the credit score game.
Paul, thanks so much for coming. How are you doing today?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good, thank you. Let's get started. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Great, and where are you from?
I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, nice. How long have you been living in Arizona?
8 years now, great in total.
And what would you describe as your favorite thing about Arizona?
My favorite thing is usually the weather and just kind of the overall culture and how things kind of happen here.
Excellent. What do you do for a living?
I'm the project lead and designer for custom vehicle builder.
Great. How long have you been doing that for?
2 years.
Now, what is one thing that you would describe as the most challenging thing about your job?
The most challenging thing is like the level of creativity. There's always you gotta make what the customer wants because in the end it's their car. They're spending a lot of money to have it built, but most of the customers are they know what they want, but they don't know what they want. So I have to figure out what that is.
Is it kind of like, do you remember that show from MTV, The Pit My Ride? Is it kind of like that you go to like a West Coast and then they redesign everything?
Yes and no. It's not as extreme. They're not putting TVs and fish tanks in people's cars. But as far as like the amount of detail that goes into a car is huge.
Which one has been your favorite car or the favorite thing that you've worked on?
I've completed 2 with them so far, 2 projects. And I have 2 happening right now. My favorite would be one that's happening now. It's a 1963 Corvette.
Wow. And what is the most rewarding thing about your job? What is one thing that you really, really enjoy about it?
It's every time the customer comes in to see the car and is just excited about it. So, usually the handoff is everybody thinks is the big excitement and your favorite, but it's just every time they walk through the door to just see progress and they see something that they like and they get excited about it all over again.
Nice. Does that mean that maybe in the near future you'll get your car and get it there?
Maybe.
Great. So what social class were you growing up?
I was middle social.
What were some of the challenges growing up as a middle class?
As a kid, I wasn't presented with a lot of the challenges. I was, maybe my parents told me like, oh, we can't do this or we got to wait on this. But for the most part, they didn't let that interfere with me or my siblings' lives. It was just we were just going through the day and they took care of the problems.
Okay. Sounds good. Would your parents like move a lot or you were, you mentioned that you're originally from Oklahoma and then you're here now in Arizona. How did you make that transition?
We did move a lot. We lived all over Oklahoma. We moved here because my dad worked for Quick Trip and he was a store manager and came out here to open the new stores in Tucson.
Great. Now, when we have our call interview, you said that you were led to believe that you were lower class. Why was that?
Like, I can't think of a time where they said like, well, we don't have any money, but with the, seeing other people around you and some of the places that like I lived or people I knew and where they were versus what I was doing was like, I just kind of saw a difference. And so I, had that assumption that like maybe, like we didn't have very much money.
Right. But at the same time, you also mentioned that they were very, very wise with the way that they would spend their money.
Yeah. And, it kind of goes back to like when I was a kid, I didn't know what was going on. They didn't tell us. We didn't talk about finance with the family or anything like that. So,
right. And actually, that's a good follow-up because my next question was if your family would talk about money in general, but in your case,
they didn't talk about money until I was older. I mean, my first real money conversation was probably not until in my mid-20s with my parents.
So do you recall your first interaction with money?
Um, would just be working, to get money to get something you want. It was very specific. I worked for something I wanted, and I worked what seemed like a lot for a small amount of money at the time, but it was a very specific amount of money to buy something I wanted, and that was all I got paid.
So in this case is what you told us about that you worked all summer long with your
My
uncle.
uncle, yeah.
And then at the end, I mean, how many days or hours did you get to work with them?
I mean, I worked a full days, 8 hours for 2.5 weeks, and he was a contractor, so building houses, um, you know, throwing plywood, sheetrock, and putting up 2x4s, building the frame of a house, all of that for 2.5 weeks for $350 to buy a guitar.
Great.
And that's all I got.
And you also mentioned that you used to work with your grandma at a restaurant.
For the majority of my childhood, I spent a lot of time in the restaurant with her, basically from the age of 4.
In there, did you actually have a specific or like a steady paycheck, or it was more about like, okay, today we feel like giving you this amount?
For a long while, I never was given money because I worked.
Okay.
The way it kind of happened, it's like, oh, I'm going to give you some money today. I worked with her, but it was never like, here's money for what you did today. It was like more like she was just giving me a treat. It was just a gift, but it wasn't because you worked with me today.
Since you were actually working, you never actually asked like, hey, I would like to get paid hourly, or since it was family, it was more about like, okay, I'll get what I get.
It was just going to hang out and help and be a part of the family business. It wasn't until I was older until I was like, all right, well, I should get paid, right?
Right. Now, what is the best financial advice you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
It'd be to live below your means. As my parents gave me that advice, and I didn't see it until later. So growing up, had everything needed, no more, no less. And then I'm getting older. I saw that my parents were just wise with their money, and my dad put away every bit of what he could into retirement for 20 years. And so, we always had what we needed. They kind of acted like, well, we can't do this or we can't do that. And my dad worked for Quick Trip for 20 years, great retirement plan, and he just, maxed it out. So by the age of 40, he retired. So my dad retired. My mom worked a lot of different jobs, kind of side hustle, was a photographer. She worked for Quick Trip. She worked for a tattoo shop doing social media. So she was kind of all over the place. And then, like I said, at 40, they retired. And, then I noticed no, that's where all the money was. They were smart with it. They put it away. They acted like we didn't have it because, out of sight, out of mind kind of deal for a kid. And, we didn't see like, oh, they're buying this, they're buying that. It's just, we go through the day with what we got.
I don't believe I've ever heard someone say that, oh, hey, my parents retired at the age of 40. I mean, that's insane, man. That is amazing.
It blew me away when I found out, and they're like, yeah, my dad's like, I'm going to be done working.
Man.
20, I think it was right about 21 years with Quick Trip. And he's like, yep, I'm done.
Is that something you would like to pursue as well?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a dream to try and, at 40 years old, to not have to work, to be able to just pursue what you want to and not, being a part of the game anymore.
Yeah. I think it would be great if we could get an interview with your parents. That would be amazing. They could tell us their side of the story, see how they actually went through the entire process of, maxing out their 401k. Maybe they also have like an IRA, or maybe they have, ETFs, mutual funds, or any other type of financial strategy that actually allow them to retire at the age of 40. That's really, really cool.
Yep.
So on the other side of the spectrum, what is the worst financial advice you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
Worst in financial advice would be to, use other people's money. Basically like talking about like credit cards and stuff, people would tell you like, well, they're going to let you use their money, use it and keep yours. And I've heard that advice from quite a few people, but it's definitely not something that I would recommend doing.
Yeah. And at the same time, please, we really have to talk about this. You told us about your first car, or this one was a motorcycle that you wanted to buy. Please tell us what you learned on that, and if you could tell us the entire story. That is honestly, I think like the audience would gain a lot of knowledge.
So I was like 18, 19 years old. I had been given a car, my first car, which was a 96 Chevy Prism, had 310,000 miles on it. It ran, but it was, it was just an old beat up car. And I was into cars and vehicles and all that. And it was a free car, but I hated it, even though it was given to me. And I had a bunch of friends who rode motorcycles. So I was like, I want a motorcycle. I was going to do everything I could to buy a motorcycle. And so I started with what would be the quote unquote easy route, finance it. Had never had a credit card or anything like that. So, had no credit score. So I thought, and I went to dealership after dealership after dealership and applied for credit to buy a motorcycle and was denied every time without a cosigner. And I couldn't get a cosigner because I told my mom I wanted a motorcycle and she stopped talking to me. And I ended up having a large amount of hard pulls on my credit trying to get this. And so it put me behind in the credit score game.
Do you recall how many credit pulls you got?
I think it had been like 9.
Oh my God. And how low did it go, your credit score?
I think by the time I found out, like, oh, well, it's all because my credit score had to been like a 590, 600. So started without ever accruing debt.
And at what point did you decide to actually check your credit, or they actually told you at the dealership, like, hey man, look, like you have so many pulls?
So the dealerships, when I went, they would just tell you like, oh, well, we can get you approved with a cosigner, which I knew I wasn't going to get a cosigner. So at that point I was just like, all right, well, and I thought maybe I could just go somewhere else. And so I just kept trying that, and I just kept getting the same answer. And as soon as they said cosigner, I just kind of like, all right, moving on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until finally it just like a deal fell in my lap, and I still ended up financing the motorcycle. But the place I worked, they gave me a loan. So they gave me $1,000, and then they just took $50 a paycheck for however long, and I went and
so at the end,
motorcycle.
You ended up getting your bike then at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Not necessarily proud of it for all the, I saved a bunch of money, sold a lot of things that I wish I didn't sell, and ended up asking my girlfriend at the time for the last $100 to buy this motorcycle. And I got it and I rode it home, and I didn't have money to put gas in it.
Oh, do you still have it to this day?
No.
Oh. That would have been great. You're like, yeah, we actually got it here with this bike.
No, I sold that motorcycle to move back to Tucson.
Oh, okay. Was that a good deal as well, or not really, to sell it?
Yeah, I got all my money back. I bought the bike, I wrecked it, fixed it, and then sold it and got all my money back. So
you wrecked it?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a minor wreck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Slow speed, just I hit sand on the street. So
okay. All right. Now let's talk about your best financial decision.
My best financial decision would be just advocating for myself and, just keeping an open mind with the work. I've worked a lot of jobs in my, what would be considered a lot of people like a short,
walk us through it. What have you done?
I've worked in restaurants. I've worked in many automotive places, and, dealerships, accessories, and then now like custom cars. In just almost 10 years, I think I've had 13 or 14 jobs.
Oh, wow.
Only ever been fired once. Just, I saw an opportunity that I thought was going to be good for myself, and I took it. So, a lot of short stints, a couple months to 6 months to 2.5 years to, now where I currently work, I'm at 2 years. But it's just, I never got a job thinking like, oh, I'm just going to, quit. But even if the job was good, I was always looking. Always looked at Indeed. Always looking for positions available, whether I wanted to quit my job or not. Because always looking for opportunity.
Why do you think that was the case? Do you feel like maybe you were not like fully satisfied with what we were doing? You were maybe trying to like get into, a car modeling job, or was it more about like at the time that felt like the cool thing, but not so much after a month? What was it about it?
So like I said, I worked in restaurants a lot, and then I had finally made the decision that like automotive is what I wanted to do. I went to school because I was told that I would never do anything other than change oil if I didn't get certified. So I got certified and was working in dealerships. The job that I'm at now, I had done subcontract work for, and thought like, all right, well, I'm going to work here. And I did a internship. Wasn't even an internship because it was once a week for maybe a month. And then they just stopped calling me, and I moved on with my life. So I started working at dealerships, and that was that. Like I said, I've always had an eye out for whatever's going on. So I worked at Subaru. I saw that Audi was hiring, so put in my notice, went and worked for Audi for a little bit, made some more money, and was happy there. And then I got a phone call, and I took a pay cut to go work for where I work now. But in this case, it was like chasing a dream. It was less of a financial decision, more of a like, this is what I want to do. And once I got there, and I just had to be honest with it, I was like, this is my dream job, but the money in the beginning just, it wasn't enough. I had a family, trying to start a family, and I was, I lost a lot of money to take the job. And so that's where I kind of get into the advocate for yourself. The closed mouth doesn't get fed. And so I told them like, this is what I needed to make, to continue to work here, and it promised a lot of things. And so I was fighting for that, and it just wasn't happening. And so I was, I just told them, it was like, the only way I stayed, it's my dream job. There is no other place I want to work. There's no other work I'd want to do. And so having that conversation and advocating for myself and, what I felt I was worth in that position, that I, what I do for them. And that's what got me paid and set me up for a long time. So
And that's great, because now you're doing what you love. It is your passion, plus you're making money. So it pretty much doesn't feel like you're working.
right.
Nice. And I mean, it's only 2 years, so you have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I go back and forth of kind of, just growing with this company, because they're young. They've been in business for about 7 years. They're doing very well, constant growth, and the clientele is, kind of, it's big money, stuff. So I see myself growing with them. I also see myself like kind of move on to do the same thing, but for myself.
Great. Hey, I wish you nothing but the best. I think like you're very capable of, advocating for yourself, like you said, but I can tell that since it is something that you love and you enjoy, you'll take it to the next level. So, hey, maybe you'll start your own thing, and that'll be great. We can have an interview down the road, and you're like, hey, now I have like, my own costume shop. So that'll be great. Now, what is the worst financial decision you've ever made?
Is buying a car.
Oh, wow.
Or financing my first car, I should say. I had a vehicle that I had paid cash for, and I moved to Tucson. I still had that truck as a 93 GMC pickup. And at that time, I had gone through automotive. I could have fixed it. I could have, spent a whole lot less money and just had a reliable working vehicle and not had a monthly payment. And, but wanting a new car kind of got the best of me. And then the salesman got me, and I traded in my truck for $500. Because, helps your down payment. It's gonna, your monthly payment will be less. In the end, I saved maybe $5 a month for my truck that I could have sold. Needed some work, but I still could have driven it. And then I got into a loan at $16,000 and 11% interest. And
11%. Wow. What year was this?
This was in 2015.
Okay. Yeah, interest rates were like quite high.
Well, I didn't have great credit either.
Oh, okay.
So, wow. I was all still dealing with my motorcycle.
What car was this?
It was a 2013 Ford Focus ST.
Okay. Wow. And what was your monthly payment?
I think it started at like $400 a month.
Wow. Do you still have that car?
I do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Is that what you drove today?
No. It's one of many vehicles I have at this point.
Oh, nice. How many do you have right now?
We have 4.
Oh, wow. But I mean, you're into, the automotive world, so makes sense, makes sense. How would you describe your relationship with money?
I would say it's good and growing. I have made a lot of dumb financial decisions that I find dumb, and I look back and think like could have gone about that better, or should have not done that. And a lot of it is impulse. And
Are you comfortable with your current financial situation?
yes, but slowly getting better. Like we're happy where I'm at, but I know that it can be better. We're working for it to be better.
If you could go back in time and change one financial decision, which one would it be and why?
It would be buying that first car.
Wow. I don't know why, like talking about it, I would actually see it more as the bike than the car. But yeah, I think that
The bike, the whole situation of getting the bike was a mistake. Maybe, not trying so hard to get something and maybe stopping and listening or reading why I couldn't get it. But that kind of leads to the car. Car in more cases has paid more money. I paid a lot of money to this car, way more than it's worth and way more than I'll ever get out of it, which is the other reason I still have it, because I can't bring myself to sell it because I can't recoup anything. It's a project car for life at this point.
yeah. How much money do you think that you probably, quote unquote, lost with this trade-off and getting the car? And
I know, in like the truck itself, I probably could have sold the truck for $4,000 or $5,000. I traded it for $500.
yeah,
And then just lots of monthly payments at a high interest rate on the car, and probably doubled the car's value.
I think this would be kind of cool. Next time that you go buy a car, what are like the top 3, top 4, top things that you look for?
Knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
I won't ever pay anything but cash for a car.
Oh, okay.
But that's probably because I'll buy something that's cheap enough to pay cash for and fix it, because that's what I do. I have a little bit of it's always a sour spot. I don't want to buy a car from a dealership ever again.
All right. What's your dream car?
It changes a lot. I work on a lot of cars, so it changes a lot.
Like right now?
A current list, something I wish I could have, would be like a 70s Audi 100. I like old European cars. Those are my favorites. Right.
Because I was thinking like, okay, let's say that it is, speaking of an Audi, let's say that you want to get an R8 or even like a TT, which is like a level below or like below that. You're talking about like 30,000 or like 40,000 if you want a TT, but if you want an R8, you're talking about like 90, maybe like 100,000. And I was going to ask you,
If we're talking in brand new, or what I would actually buy in that aspect, a TT is going to cost me like $80,000.
oh, okay.
An R8, you're in the $200,000.
Wow. I was way off.
I'm very much in a performance aspect. Like I like those cars. So like a brand new basic TTRS, which is the performance model. They're a lot more expensive than some people may think, and I didn't realize that until I worked for Audi.
Oh yeah. Now, if you wanted to get one of those cars, you're saying that right now you would just pay cash for them. Would you be able to do that, or you would still consider maybe getting a loan?
If I wanted to buy one of those now, I'd have to get a loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what would you be looking for? Know what you know now. You made a few mistakes, pulling your credit so many times, or the other one that you only got $500 for your truck. What would you be looking to get? As soon as you walk in, an Audi dealership, what are like your requirements in order for you to take the car home?
I would have to sit and like think about it before I even got to the dealership. Like I would want to go to the dealership knowing like, hey, I've got this amount of money. I'm going to ask them like, all right, we'll look at the cars. How much is the car? But I've already kind of got it in my mind. Like I'm ready to put this money down and know that I can buy and afford the car before I even walk through the doors.
Okay. All righty. Hey, that's really good information, man. And like a lot of people that are going to be watching this, they're going to be like, man, I was going to go buy my car right now. And hey, maybe I should not, or maybe I should really look into my credit, how much they're going to give me for my trade-in. So Great. So now we're gonna go over our would you rather section. That's our first segment. So I'm gonna give you this one. Please go ahead and grab it, and then you grab the cylinder as well. Okay. And then you're gonna pull 5 numbers one at a time, and it's just pretty much a would you rather. So would you rather option A or option B? We'll do 5 of them. So whenever you're ready.
For 20?
Would you rather have a small savings account but earn a lot of money, or earn very little money but have a big savings account?
I'd rather have a small savings account and earn a lot of money.
And you're like, because I'll be spending it on cars.
Well, then you can make your savings account larger if you earn more money.
Good, good. All right, let's go over the second one.
19.
Would you rather donate your time or donate your money?
And donate my time.
What would that be?
I just find time to be worth more than money.
Ah, great one. All right, let's go over the third one.
6.
6, there you go. Single digit number. Would you rather get $1 million right now or get 100,000 a year for 10 years?
$1 million right now.
Okay.
You can invest and you could make more than that over the long run.
What will you invest it in?
I don't know enough about investing.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's go over the fourth one.
2.
Would you rather end student loan debt forever or end credit card debt forever?
Credit card debt forever.
Okay. All right. You think that there's more credit card debt or student loan debt?
I would say there's probably more credit card debt out there. That would be my guess.
All right. Let's go over the last one then.
5.
Would you rather spend $1 million on travel or spend $1 million on a house?
I'd rather spend $1 million on a house.
On a house. What is your dream house?
My wife would say a garage. Just something big with land to be able to do what you want to do within your own confines, and to entertain and have fun and do all that. So I like having people over and stuff like that.
Nice, man. All right. Now we're gonna go over our second segment called "What Do You Think?" This one is about opinions and thoughts on money. Same process. So whenever you're ready.
Number 1.
What do you think, Paul? Are credit cards good or bad?
They can be good and bad. They can be good and they can help you if used wisely, but they can be very bad and get you into some really sticky situations.
So you've seen both, pretty much.
Yeah, using them out of necessity, because sometimes you need it, but also using it in the wrong aspects and now paying for that later.
All right. But hey, at least you've learned through it, and like you said, you're trying to become better at it. So that's a great step to take. Let's go over the second one.
Number 9.
What do you think? Should couples share bank accounts or have separate accounts?
I think they can go either way. Both ways come with communication. More communication if you have separate accounts, and maybe the same amount of communication if you share an account. So,
okay. All right, let's go over the third one.
30.
What is the most important thing to learn about money? Just to give you some examples, it could be about savings, investing, inflation, financial independence. What do you think that is the most important thing?
The most important thing would be savings. I think that was something I struggled with a lot and came with my compulsive buying or impulsive and getting into trouble with credit card, because it's like, oh, I want this now. So it's credit card versus putting the money away and saving for something you want, or, just saving in general for, emergency or, like a big purchase altogether.
Would you say that now you save more than before?
Yeah.
And do you have like a system that you do, or what helped you or allowed you to save more money now?
My wife.
She's the one that controls it.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good mechanism. So let's go with the fourth one then. 16. What is the best way to invest money? And I know that you mentioned that you don't know a whole lot, but as of right now, I like to say, and I always say, I believe that I've said this in every single video, that there is no right or wrong answer. So as of right now, what do you think? What is the best way to invest money?
I think invest in yourself. In many ways, that could be like investing in your retirement, whether your job's got a 401k or not, but just knowing how to, put money away and put enough away to, just be ready for things like in emergencies and retirement.
All right, great. Maybe, down the road we'll have another interview and your answer will change. So that's the beauty of this. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. Everything is right, everything's wrong, everything is neutral at the same time. So, all right, let's go with the last one.
11.
What are the top 3 financial goals that everyone should have?
As far as me, it would be like one would be financial freedom.
Okay.
Just not having to worry about it, setting yourself up to be in a place of, be able to handle whatever financial situation shows up without having to, stop this or change that, whatever comes at you. Financial literacy is another one, just, helps you understand and get to that financial freedom. And the last financial goal for me would, to be able to, I would say, to return the favor, to your parents, whatever, they brought you up. So, they paid for everything to get you to where you are. And in a sense, whether it be paying for college, but I mean, they paid for your life for the first 18 years. So to be able to return that favor in some form would be a big financial goal for myself.
What is one thing that you would like to do for your parents then?
I mean, even in the most basic means, but once they get older, to be able to take care of them if they need it.
Really, really good answer, man. I like that one. And then finally, just to wrap it all up, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience? Do you have any final thoughts?
So we go back to another part of invest in yourself, and what that means to me is there's more than investing financially, but there's how can that help you? So if you invest in your 401k, you're setting yourself up for your retirement. If you invest for yourself in a savings to be able to handle emergencies, or investing in yourself in a way to learn a new skill or to make more money or something. And that's something that I've grown and I learned from my dad, investing in yourself in so many ways.
Excellent. Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time and great interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing, commenting, and liking the video. The question of the day is the following. Let me know your opinions, thoughts, comments, and constructive criticism in the comment section, and I will see you guys on the next video.